Hey guys, I am coming back at you. I hope you are having an amazing day. I am super excited about this little School of Hard Knocks because I just love the way things kind of come together and the universe orchestrates things where the very thing that I had been talking about in previous videos about just how to mind situations, how to look at the situations around you, and how you can see a reflection of certain things, certain lessons, certain things about yourself, or just maybe, just different things in the situations happening around you that is purpose for your growth, purpose for your betterment, right? And I just love it because yesterday I had a situation happen that absolutely gave me an opportunity to practice what I preach. And when I did that, when I finally got to the point where I realized something was sticking with me, and there was just something unsettled, when I actually sat down and really focused intentionally in on show me, right? I got such an amazing response. And what's interesting, it goes along, of course, with something that came up that I saw this morning, a quote by this individual named Maryam Hasnaa. Her last name is Hasnaa. She is amazing human being, amazing soul. I would recommend you going to check her out on Instagram. Just very wise woman. But anyways, the quote reads, "The universe is never testing you. It's simply giving you an opportunity to embody all that you say you are," right? Well, here we go. Lessons from the School of Hard Knocks. Literally this time. So yesterday I was on the way to go pick up my son from school. And I was coming down a road. It was 55-mile-an-hour little highway, but it was a 2-lane road. And I was just driving. There was cars in front of me, and I saw a car, 2 cars ahead, swerve a little bit. And then the car that was in front of me was a big truck, was a older model truck, and it was pulling a long yellow trailer, like a transport trailer, maybe for heavy equipment or something. And as I saw him approaching, I saw something in the road, and as I saw him approaching it, it looked like he was just going to try to go over it. And in the last second, all of a sudden, he swerved off the road and went off the road. The trailer went off the road onto the side of the road. I mean, the trailer was popping up and down. There was like dirt and dust and grass, flying into the road. And so I started to hit my brakes because, at that point, I kind of had seen there was something in the road, but the size of it gave me the impression I just wasn't alarmed by it, right? I was just thinking I'm just gonna drive over it the front of my car. Well, after seeing him swerve, I sat up in my seat and I started to put my brakes on, and I looked, and once I got right up on it, it moved, it shot this way. And I was looking over the hood of my car, and I realized it was a very small kitten. And when it started to move, when I realized what it was, I became tunneled. When I tell you I saw every detail of this kitten, this baby kitten, cowered down and scared and shaking and looking up, because another car had gone over it. I guess 2 cars ahead had actually driven over it and not hit it, and the guy went around it. And I slammed my brakes on, and the guy that was behind me in a pickup truck did not, I don't know, I guess he hadn't been paying attention. I had kind of started to slow down a little bit, but the dude swerving, and then me realizing, why is he swerving? What's happening? And then when all of a sudden I saw something move and it caused me to hit my brakes, I don't know what was going on, but the dude smashed into the back of my car. I mean, going very, very fast. The impact of that ended up pushing me into oncoming traffic. And then there was a white SUV that had to kind of swerve. I didn't really see it because at that point, when I got pushed out into oncoming traffic, I kind of closed my eyes because I knew there was oncoming traffic. And so I was just, bracing for impact. Well, when I opened my eyes back up and realized, okay, nothing else has hit me, right? I then got out of my car. Well, then I put my car in reverse to get it out to see, if I could move it, what's going on. I put it in reverse and backed up so I wasn't impeding the other lane. And then I sat there for a minute. And then once I realized the car, I didn't see smoke, was like whatever. So I pulled over on the side of the road. And when I got out of the car, I looked around to see if the kitten wasn't in the road. I don't know. It obviously didn't get hit, but I looked around for the kitten, and then I walked towards the back of my car. And when I was rounding the back of my car, I could just see the driver's side more and kind of a little bit in the middle. And I'm like, oh, it's not. But then when I kept walking, the entire back end of my car literally smashed all the way up into, everything, the trunk, everything just destroyed, right? And I just was like, oh my God, right? And so I was on the way to get my son anyways, had to go through everything with the police coming, whatever. My mom went to get my son. And so, after the police came, did the report, was looking at it. He's like, is the car drivable? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I went and looked at it. And so the back end bumper and some of the stuff underneath was actually over the tire and looked like it was rubbing. But I was able to pull it back off of the tire and felt pretty comfortable. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to drive it to my mom's house because she lives the closest. And then plus she's going to get my son. So then I'll deal with it when I get there. I'll call the insurance company, whatever. So I did that, right? I did that and got to my mom's house, sat in the car, did the claim, was talking with the insurance adjuster or whatever. And then my mom got home and we went inside. I hadn't given her full details of what had happened because when I called her right after it happened because I needed her to go get my son from school. And then I called the police. And so, but in my conversation with her, I didn't go into detail. So when I got to her house, I told her that the details of what had happened. And but here's the crazy thing. I left this out because this is a very important part. After we pulled over on the side of the road, I think it was actually even before I called the police. I had called my mom and then I just walked around the front of the car and was just shaking my head, just like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. A car pulls up, there's a driveway, this car pulls up and this lady gets out. And it's a pretty bad looking accident, right? So I'm standing there and I'm thinking, as she's walking over, I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna ask if we're okay, whatever. That's not what happened. She gets out of the car and she comes walking towards me and she has got her finger out and waving and she said, I don't know, I'm gonna leave the cuss words out of it, but she's like, I don't know what y'all were doing there, but I was the car coming in the online traffic and I had to swerve off and I was almost in the ditch and my kids were in my car with me and when I tell you guys, like those situations where it's so unexpected that you literally just sit there and are like, you're silent, you have no response, and you're just, wait, what? I standing there facing towards the house that was in, off in the field. She's kind of coming in this direction, and I just had to sit there for a second. And I just kind of was like, wait, what? I turned and looked at her, and she was waving her finger and just being all aggressive. And I looked at her and was like, did you just, are you, like literally had a hard time finding words. And finally I was like, did you not see all the cars swerving? Like, I don't know. I guess I was trying to figure out in my mind, what could she have possibly thought happened that would elicit such an unexpected, the only thing I could think of was like, maybe she thought, me and the dude were having road rage and like he was riding my butt. So I hit the brakes and something, I don't know. All I know is it was so unexpected. And so I turned to her and I'm like, did you not see your oncoming? Did you not see the car in front of the truck that was in front of me and the guy swerve off the road? Did you not see all that happen? And then me slam my brakes on and the dude behind me hit me and pushed me out into the traffic. And I got pretty, I'm like, you need to get back in your car. I was like, take your ass and go get back in your car. I was like, I don't know who you think you are. I said, but you need to turn your ass around and go get back in your car. And I said some other things. And so she ended up getting back in her car or whatever. And I just was like, what just happened, right? So anyways, fast forward, because that's a very important part. I get to my mom's house and I'm walking in, I'm telling her about it and I'm going through this thing. And my mom's initial response is this. She says, you know what? She said, this happens with squirrels. She's like, you know what? She's like, you just got to sometimes close your eyes and just, you know what, and hit it. If you're going to hit it, she said, sometimes you just got to hit it. And I just remember thinking, because the truth of the matter was, I didn't know. I was totally not concerned or like worried when I saw the cars kind of moving, because I could see something in the road. So I just figured that it was maybe some piece of metal. It was something they didn't want to hit with their tires, right? It wasn't a box. It was something that was whatever. And the truck in front of me did not make a motion. He looked like he was going to drive over it. He didn't. It was the last second motion he made that had me confused, because I'm like, I'm already planning the way I'm driving. So the front, if my car goes, it goes underneath the middle of my car. So when I saw him do that and I sat up, and then all of a sudden I saw it move. As soon as I saw it move, the response out of my confusion, the just unexpected motion of the truck, the unexpected, all of a sudden it's moving, and me sitting up and hitting my brakes and looking down. And then when I saw the kitten, right, just being focused in on that, right, I just didn't. Normally I probably would have, if it had been a squirrel, like something, normally I would have been able to. I've been in situations before where I have actually been in accidents where I had not stuff in the road, but where I was able, when I realized the accident was about to happen, I was able to look at oncoming traffic. I was able to look and make decisions, like snap decisions that I felt would protect. Maybe, the last one I had somebody pull out literally right in front of me when I was going about 45 miles an hour. And I had the presence of mind to be able to look up to see, if I swerve around her, is there oncoming traffic, before I started to make the motion to swerve around her. So like, normally I am able to do that, right? But when my mom said that to me, I just carried on with my story, because I was still pretty, animated about it, and just talking about this lady. I'm like, so this lady literally drove. So she saw it happen. She drove down the road and did a U-turn, and she drives back and pulls over and doesn't get out of the car, and gets out of the car and proceeds to start coming at me very aggressively, right? And I'm just carrying on and going on about it, right? Well, there was something that was stuck with me. I don't know what it was. I knew what had happened. The police came, like I knew what had happened, but something about the whole situation stuck with me, especially that lady. And, last night when I got home, it was still kind of sticking with me. And I just was like, it was one of those things that just didn't seem like a cut and dry situation. Let me put it to you like that. It's cut and dry situation. Something happens, you know what happened, it's cut and dry. You're like, okay, you accept it for what it is. I wasn't there for some reason, right? But I was also sore, and, had a bit of a headache. But this morning when I woke up, one of the first things I thought of was that lady, and just the events that happened, and how it was, or that I was able to notice the difference between, me. I could notice the difference between me, I probably would have responded a different way, or I have before, right? And so I started thinking about it, and I did my thing. Like I said, okay, you know what? It's sticking with me. There's a reason. Show me, right? And literally almost immediately, I thought about my mom's comment, the immediate comment she made, and when you hear somebody say that off the cut, right? At the beginning, if someone just randomly say that, well, you just hit the animal, right? When you hear them say that, it's like, oh no, like, I didn't sort of run over an animal, right? But when you look at it from the perspective and point of view of what after the situation, right? I saw this kitten, right? It moved. I didn't even know what it was originally, but it's all the confusing stuff. But when I realized and zoomed in and saw it was a kitten, a baby kitten, tiny baby kitten, I hit my brakes more, right? And so it's not like, there was enough going on where the guy behind me should have been able to stop. But I hit my brakes harder after I realized it was this baby. It was a tiny baby kitten, right? And so when you look at it from the perspective of afterwards, where me doing that, right, where the choice then comes down to, do you hit the animal, right? Now that you got hindsight and you realize not, you had a choice, you had a situation where there wasn't a great outcome. It was kind of like, what's the lesser of the two evils here, right? Hitting an animal, when avoiding it or doing something, having the hindsight of realizing my car's destroyed, right? The dude's car was messed up. I have to deal with all the headache of all of that, right? Him hitting me and how hard he hit me pushed me out into oncoming traffic, and the lady was able to swerve around me and not hit me, right? But what if she wouldn't have been able to? What if she had been literally a 100 feet closer, right? How would that have ended up, right? And that's why I think the lady coming back and saying what she said, why, when it talks about that, the quote that I read, even the stuff I've been talking about, right? When I started to look at her response and the reason why she came back and why that was left such an impression on me, I realized that if, at the end of the day, if something had happened and her kids had been hurt, right? If she had hit me head on and it was even more if I had been severely injured, if my son was without a mother, right? All of a sudden, that outcome, or the outcome of hitting a tiny kitten, it's a pretty obvious choice. And what's so interesting is just where I am right now in my life and stuff, and just certain things, when you start moving in certain things, and you have a responsibility, in how you're talking to people now, you're sharing things, right? You put yourself out there as a teacher, as somebody who is trying to help, right? You start having a whole new set of lessons, a whole new set of things that you have to learn, right? And one of the most difficult lessons that I have seen showing up in my life, and reinforced that I've been doing a good job on, has been the idea that sometimes you are put in those positions. Sometimes you're put in those positions. I talked about the other day in my first lesson of School of Hard Knocks, I talked about how, staying in situations because you want to help, having that drive, knowing these things, having intuitions, and just knowing how to help somebody, but then not being able to get through to them, and they cannot hear you, right? Not allowing that to knock you down and make you doubt yourself. You see what I'm saying? Knowing when, right? Understanding the higher good for all involved, right? Being able to look at things from a wider perspective than just the one where it's how you feel, the person and the specific situation that you're involved in, right? You have to. It comes with it. You have to have that understanding, right? Because what you end up doing if you don't is you end up creating situations and making things worse and more chaotic. And then that brings emotion and doubt, and it affects you. It negatively and adversely affects you at the same time. And that's a big thing that over the past, especially year and a half, that has been something really I've been faced and given the opportunity to embody all that I am, like that quote says. Many times in situations where I had to make choices and decisions that I knew was right in my heart, even though those decisions, some people did not like that. People were mad at me because of it, but I had to do it, understanding that was their response and not allowing any of that to at all move me off of what I knew and what I believed to be true, right? Being able to trust myself and understand, yes, they may be mad, yes, whatever, but you know what? When this plays out, I know I can trust my heart. And when this plays out, the good that will come from it that is what will be the teacher. That was what will be the judge between, who was right, who was wrong, the quality and condition of my heart and the intentions behind, things I was doing and choices I was making, because I was looking at things from a higher perspective, but from a larger, more broad scope of overall highest good, right? And so I have been given many opportunities to embody that, right? And to kind of reinforce that, because it's very difficult. But that's what this situation ended up being. This situation, when I started thinking about it, when all of a sudden what my mom said, sometimes you just have to hit the kitten. Sometimes she said I do it with squirrels. Sometimes I'll just close my eyes and hold the wheel straight. And sometimes you just gotta hit. You should have just kept going. And if you hit it, you hit it. And when that popped in my head this morning, after I was thinking about this lady and the reaction and working through this and show me, what I realized is that this was another amazing opportunity that was being given to me to not only fully embody my truth and to help me grow in what it is that I do and who I am and my calling, but it was also a mirror that was showing me how there are situations that come up and are going to come up. It's like a foreshadowing, right? Situations that are going to come up where there's going to be circumstances that occur that are so very unexpected that I cannot anticipate, that happen very rapidly, and that I need to be always in the presence of mind, and always I need to have such a deeply ingrained understanding and faith, unwaveringness, and trust in myself, and trust in how things work, and be practicing that consistently in the way, in the way that you practice if you play a sport, right? My son plays football, right? They go and they practice these little the fundamental things. They go and practice. It's very monotonous, but you practice it consistently. Why? Because when you get into the heat of the moment in a game, when you find yourself in a tough spot, when you're tired, when something is going on, you no longer have to exert so much energy and effort remembering to do things because you've done it so much, it becomes almost automatic, right? And it's the same way. It's the same thing this was trying to show me, right? In that moment, when there was unexpected things that happened, right? I thought it was one way, and I was just cruising along, and I had my plan of what I was going to do, right? And then all of a sudden, last minute, when this Chuck all of a sudden swerves and the chaos ensues, and I start hitting my brake, and I'm like, what's going on? Because I don't know what's going on. And then my response, when I looked up to see what it was, and all of a sudden I see this, like something in the road, but then when I see it move, and it causes me to hit my brakes a little bit, but then when I look and I see this tiny little baby kitten, and it caused me to slam my brakes on. And that decision, what I did in that moment, right? It was very reactionary, very, like I talked about, nervous system, just very automated, very quick, right? But what I did in that moment, that decision I made in that moment, the circumstances, the way it played out, the unexpectedness of everything that happened, led to me an action, me doing something that ended up resulting in my car being smashed into. I was pushed out into oncoming traffic. It resulted in the car swerving around me, and this lady coming back to get out of her car to yell at me because, she was scared, right? And so when I saw how the way those circumstances played out, and just how my expectation of what was happening and what it really was, how my attachment to that expectation, or just my assumption that had to be right, is what left me in that state of panic and caused me to be unable to make similar decisions I know I have made in the past, in situations where I have been in a car accident, a pretty bad, severe wreck, where I know what's happening, and so therefore I can then, instead of focusing on I know where this about to be a wreck, but having the presence of mind to glance in my rearview mirror and to glance to see there's oncoming traffic, and then deciding how I'm going to move, what I'm going to do. Can I swerve around? I was able to make those decisions very, very quick. Actually, that's something that is I consider to be a strength of mine. In emergency situations, it's eerie because I become more calm. Almost always. I'm the one who, when something is crazy is happening, I'm the one who is calm, cool, and collected, and you will usually run into the fire as when everybody is running out, right? Looking for a solution. You know what I'm saying? So knowing that I have the capability and that I normally do that, and then looking at the situation and how I responded and just kind of looking at the differences, and then realizing that, I did have, a role. I mean, yeah, the guy was obviously following too close behind me. He obviously didn't see it, but I don't know what was going on in his mind. He saw what I saw in front of us too. He was confused. Maybe he was looking at the trailer that had gone off and he wasn't paying attention. Maybe the smoke and the grass that was popping up from the trailer that was keeping me from being able to see the road really clearly, to be able to clearly see. Maybe he was focused on all that. Maybe he saw oncoming traffic. I don't know what was going on, but whatever it was, it resulted with him slamming at a very high rate of speed into the back of my car and causing all that chain reaction of things to happen. Right? And so I love it. I love the quote I saw. I love how this isn't some test. The universe doesn't test you. You can say universe, God, spirit, source, any way in which you understand or have a higher spiritual understanding or belief in the way things work, and you in any regard to that, whatever you want to call it, the universe, does not test you. It's not testing you in that way. It's not like sending bad things to happen to teach you and to prove. It is the opportunity to embody. It's to embody your fullness of truth, to grow, to be able to see certain truths and things through the mirror of situations that happen around you. When you can step back and take, and show me. When you can step back and understand just that little unsettled, I knew enough, I know myself well enough, right? This is where self-awareness comes in. I know myself well enough to know when something is not settling, when something keeps sticking on me, when I can't stop thinking about it and let it go. I know that is a sure sign there's something there for me, right? And so when I got up this morning, and that was the first thing, I started thinking about that lady. And even when I thought about it, I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with that lady? But then it was like, wait a minute, you know what? I realized I'm unsettled. I'm having, this is not, it's stuck on me. So let's figure out why. And when I did, I was just like, isn't this, it's beautiful. It's not just beautiful because the process always yields such just truth and things that I could not see, and teaching lessons that are going to be so invaluable for me and my highest good and moving forward, right? But being able to understand that, with the lessons and being able to embody it, it's all working. When I allow it, when I approach it, it's all working for my good, right? So just being able to find all of that, and then how it just is such a perfect demonstration of exactly what I have been talking about the last few days. Every principle, everything that I was talking about, the way it works. I just think it's so beautiful that here we go a couple days later, and the most poignant example and just situation pops up where I can employ and engage in all the things I was talking about, and to be able to come on here and then share what I saw, what I realized, right? And it's just such a powerful thing, and I love it. I chuckle all the time because it just happens all the time. And that's really kind of one of my goals in sharing my story, and what my purpose in coming on here and doing these videos is. Y'all, I've had these things play out in my life. I've proven it countless number of times, to the point where when stuff happens, I'm just like, of course there was a reason, there was something there for me. Of course that woman getting out and bobbing her head with her finger, talking shit to me after I'd just been in a car accident, there was a reason. There was a reason that happened, right? And instead of me continuing to think about it and viewing it as though she's just some crazy psycho woman, my ability to understand that there's something in my eye. There's something in my eye irritating me. And so let me go back and look in the mirror of the situation and see what comes up that can help me locate it, the source of my irritation. That's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what I found, right? So I just wanted to jump on here and share that experience with you because it's just a perfect example, and it's a way for me to go through and show you how to actively apply, you know, some of the things I'm saying and how to apply it, and little signals and signs that you can have that give you an idea that you need to maybe look deeper, right? But anyways, if you, I haven't mentioned this in the last couple of videos, but I actually do empowerment coaching. I'd love for you to, you know, go check out my website, www.reintegrativewellness.com. You can also, you know, I do empowerment coaching sessions. If you're interested in scheduling or booking a session, shoot me an email at reintegrativewellness@gmail.com. The session, the introductory session is free. My purpose in this is it's not a financial goal. If there's some financial barrier, please do not allow that to keep you from reaching out or to keep you from wanting to connect, right? If something resonates with you, if you're being pulled to whatever, reach out, let's connect, right? Things work out. I just got done, I hope, pretty clearly explaining how things are orchestrated and how things can move, right? So don't let that, you know, don't let barriers and things that you feel are hindrances keep you from reaching out to connect, right? Things will work out. Things will work out. They will work out, right? So anyways, I thank you guys for hanging out with me. Like I said, you know, just it's just awesome to be able to come on here. And you know, I hope that that's something that I've said helps you, and I hope that you start to pick up, just even it being in your conscious awareness, that something happens, you know, shows up, somebody says something happens where you're like, oh, and you kind of feel like that was the universe's little, you know, little wink, little nudge, confirming to you that there's something more to it. There's something really there, right? So anyways, I hope you guys have a brilliant remainder to your day. Thanks.